Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Wolff Den. I am Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. The Wolff Den is presented by In the Club Room and Win Again Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great things there. There's an event tonight, which is a can't miss event with Stanley Cup champion Theo Fleury and Eric Cussin, founder of Same Here, the global mental health movement. They're going to talk about mental health. So more information on all my socials and my LinkedIn here. But today we welcome in Garrett Nolan. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this is kind of part of the happy hour week. We had Dave Wakeman yesterday. Obviously, tell everyone who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, like you said, Garrett Nolan. I've worked in the live entertainment industry for about 18 years now, mostly in ticketing. I started out working in minor league hockey, transitioned over to the building side, worked at a couple of different venues in Virginia, in Charlotte, in DC, and then made the big move out to California about 2.5 years ago. My current position is with a company, Levity Entertainment Group. We are a parent company, our live division. We are a parent company of about 24 different live entertainment venues across the country, about half of which are owned and operated. The Improv Comedy Club brand is probably our most famous. We also have some others, Levity Live, Copper Blues, but the Improv Comedy Club is definitely our big national brand. I oversee the ticket operations for the owned and operated venues. Obviously with COVID coming in, it's been a big issue for us the last year or so. A lot of our venues have not been operating. We've been doing some drive-in shows, some other things like that. Unfortunately, there's been furloughs throughout the company. I've been affected by that as well. But just trying to plug away every day, remain optimistic. The way that things are going, at least here in California, but I would imagine throughout the rest of the country too, seems like we're moving in the right direction in terms of vaccinations and in terms of the COVID cases and hospitalizations going down. So, I know California has announced recently, as of April 1st, some outdoor venues can reopen, theme parks can reopen. Not really much guidance on indoor venues yet, or at least indoor live entertainment venues, but like I said, things seem to be moving in the right direction. So just remain optimistic.
Should anybody be announcing anything on April 1st? Is that just ripe for some April Fool's jokes? Like, let's do it either March 31st or April 2nd. Let's leave April 1st alone.
Well, yeah, good point. Although I guess you could argue with the way that the state of California has kind of handled everything in the last year, it's been kind of one big April Fool's joke. But I don't know.
And you guys are comedy clubs, so your jokes are all jokes will be good for comedy clubs. Interesting about the improv, because I'm always I always get the emails and I won tickets to go see. They're always trying to fill it up because they need people in. And now, they can't go fully in there. What does a socially distanced improv look like? Or is that just not, you can't do it?
I mean, just like everything else, it kind of depends. With regards to your comment where, you get like offers for free tickets, a lot of comedy clubs use that for their off nights. That's how you sort of build the comedy base. A lot of comedians, you don't start out selling out arenas.
Yeah.
You got to kind of start somewhere. And until recently, there was really no radio for comedy. Now you see things on like Sirius and stuff like that. But the comedy clubs is where a lot of people get their start. But nobody knows who they are when you're starting. So this is a way to build up your audience in a sense where, you might be headlining on a Tuesday night, but if you had tickets on sale, even if the tickets were on sale for $5 or $10, maybe you sell 30, 40, but you sort of build up a following on social media. I mean, even if you're not famous, you probably have 500 friends on Facebook at least.
Yeah.
Send out ticket offers. You get people to come into the venues, and the venues make money by selling, because they're also restaurants, really. Yeah. They're restaurants with a stage. Minimums. So you sell beer, liquor, food, and that's how they can make money. And, you're, as the comedian, you're not getting paid a lot. It's probably just a scale offer where you're making maybe a few $100 based on how many people are in the building. And then hopefully you get to the point where you can headline a weekend, and now you're selling tickets as opposed to giving away. Yeah. I can't imagine a lot of the offers that you're getting are to go and see, somebody like
they're not. I always tell them, call me, how about this weekend when the person I want to see is, I don't want to see someone who's not going to make me laugh, and I say that actually, it's very surprising that the people you don't know, it's hit or miss whether or not. A lot of them are very, very good, right? As you said, they have to start somewhere. But to me, there's nothing more awkward than a comedian not hitting. It's like, it's an awkward feeling. And so speaking of bad comedians, my friend Brent is trying to make a joke. Of course, I got married on leap year. And we like to do things unorthodox in an unorthodox way. So thanks for the support, Brent. Always here is a better comment than just saying hi like he usually does. So any questions for either of us, ask them in the comments. And if you have a comment that's worth highlighting, we'll bring it up like this. So with the Improv, how different is the ticketing world in an entertainment type of situation as opposed to a sporting event, which you started out in?
I think the biggest difference is that with entertainment, you don't have a season ticket base, generally speaking. Now, if you want to lump Broadway or performing arts into entertainment, like that's, even their model is a little different than sports teams, but they generally have subscribers or members. But just in terms of concerts and comedy, which is really my background, or at least it has been for the last 10 plus years, you're looking at a series of one-off events, or like an event that might, they might have multiple performances over a couple of days or a week, but then the show packs up and it's out of town. So it's much more based in the individual ticket sale, and kind of all your marketing and promotions around that are sort of based on, hey, here's your chance to see X, and here are the different, VIP packages or whatever is offered. You need to come now. You're kind of building that excitement, the FOMO, as they call it, fear of missing out, which, I think has a little bit of a negative connotation. But if an artist is only playing in your city once, like, there is kind of, at some level, some sort of fear of missing out, because it's not like the Dodgers that have 81 home games. If you don't make it today, you can go tomorrow. That doesn't necessarily exist in the concert world. So there's that, there's kind of that excitement there, and that has led to average ticket prices, maybe not so much in the comedy club world, but I mean, try to go see any concert at the Forum or the Staples Center or any other larger venue. If you want good seats, you're probably paying at least $100 for tickets. Whereas sports, I mean, even again, I'll use the Dodgers as an example. A Tuesday night home game in April, forget about COVID, just under normal circumstances, you can probably find seats on StubHub for $10, just because there's so many games and so many tickets available.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about sports, is how many games some of them have. Not like football, but then how good is your team? How good is the crowd? With entertainment, I mean, you might have a bad lineup, but if you don't have a good one today, you'll have a great show tomorrow. So you don't have to worry about, hey, if we're bad, it's going to impact our whole entire year. And sports, that might impact your whole year just by being not so good.
On the flip side, I think with sports, though, you can sell the social aspect of it a little bit easier. Minor league sports do this great. I mean, how many times, I'm assuming you've been to minor league baseball or minor league hockey games. Do you even remember who played or who won any of those games? Probably not. But do you remember whether or not you had a good time and you were hanging out with friends and, it was sitting out in the sun, having a hot dog and a beer?
Well,
That's
baseball
fun.
is that. We get that even in Major League. We like to walk around the stadium and hang out. So baseball gets that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas in entertainment, it's like if you don't like the product, like if you don't like Pearl Jam, I'm gonna have a hard time convincing you to go to a concert where, yes, there is a social aspect of it. You're talking with people. When the music is playing and it's going, you're not carrying on a conversation.
No, I'm there to watch the show. We had Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas on the Wolff Den earlier. We're gonna do this a little early because Brent, I don't know if he'll be here. He wants to know your top 3 comedians since you're in the comedy world. Your 3 favorites.
My top 3 comedians, I'd say my number 1 is Bill Burr, Boston guy, kind of goes on rants like I tend to do.
Number 2. He's in my top 5, maybe top 3.
I always enjoyed Brian Regan. I'd put him probably at number 2. He's in that same mold as Jerry Seinfeld, but I think he's I don't know. He's got a little bit more of an edge, but he's more of the clean comic, if you will. But he's been pumping out great material for going on probably 4 decades now. And then maybe I'll go blast from the past with George Carlin, just absolute legend. Rest in peace. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole, just log on to YouTube. There's a lot of clips on there from his heyday in the 70s and 80s.
It's funny. Carlin is great. So he had Tosh as his 3rd and Norm Macdonald as 1. I would throw.
Great.
I got to throw Chappelle there. Chappelle in. An up and comer that I really like is Nate Bargatze. Really great delivery. I'm enjoying listening to him. It's just funny to see the people that as great actors like Seinfeld and Pryor and even Eddie Murphy and Rodney Dangerfield. All these people were great actors, but they might even be better comedians when you get them in a stand-up and they're doing their bits.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone that you just mentioned, if you were to say that they were in your top 3, there's really no wrong answers with everybody that's kind of come up here. Tosh was an interesting one. I did his show. This was probably about 10 years ago now, right after Tosh.0 became big on Comedy Central. He did a tour. He was doing theaters, so like 2,000, 3,000 seat venues, pretty solid for a comedian. I wasn't really sure where to go, because his show it's a TV show, so it's a production. It's a little bit different, but it was really good. I mean, his stand up. I didn't know. I had never seen him perform live before I had seen him on TV. So sometimes I think that skews your perspective on people. But it was a great show. It was just
he's on my bucket list. I hope he goes again because now Tosh is not continued. They got to pick it up somewhere, maybe Netflix. But I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, I mean, this would be perfect for him to go on tour. Who I want to see go on tour now too, that his show is ending, is Conan.
Yeah,
because he's done on TBS after I think June. I think he announced that he was going to be done. So basically, the end of the TV season.
I love Louis C.K. He had a very good show too. I thought his show was good. I think he will come back eventually. It's comedian. That's the thing about comedy. We could touch on that a little bit. It's kind of everything is on the table, but then I guess there's certain things that you can't necessarily say. It's tough. Certainly physical behavior and assault is a different story. But, comedy, you come to a comedy show, you really shouldn't get offended by anything because it's a comedy show. Although I do understand that there are definitely people who really get up to that line. How do you feel about, the PC and comedy?
Well, I feel a lot of the anger towards comedians, it can get misdirected. I always say there's a difference between the topic of a joke and a target of the joke. So just because somebody mentions, I mean, something like, rape or something like that in a joke, it doesn't mean that it's objectively a rape joke, or it's about that, or it's making fun of rape victims. Like, I did not expect this conversation to go in this direction, but so people get caught up in like just a word or something that somebody said, instead of trying to explore the context of it and what they're actually making fun of. And also, like you said, you're going to a comedy club. Like, these are all jokes. And yeah, sometimes things hit a little close to home, but that doesn't mean that they can't be performed. And, most people, when they go to a comedy club, I think, get that. But then you get the one or two people, like, that go on Twitter and like complain about it. And then if the right person happens to amplify it, and then now it's a news story. And it's taken way out of context. You're not in a club anymore, and everybody's just going crazy because of something that happened. But now I think we're starting to see a lot of comedians, especially a lot of like headliner comedians. You're not allowed to have your phone with you in the venue, meaning like they give you, there's a company called Yonder. Yeah. And it's a little canvas bag that you slide your phone in, and it's locked, like magnetically locked. And so you can't use your phone in there. Now, there's also people recording stuff and like getting material out before the particular comedian wants that to be available in the public domain. Yeah. But the offset of that is that it keeps people from having knee-jerk reactions during the show. And it can kind of cut down on sort of the negative feedback or negative comments, like, that are just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, we had that at the David Copperfield show in Vegas, where they put your phone in a box in the middle, and there's no recording it or anything like that, which
makes the audience engaged too. Like, as just, I'm not a comedian, but speaking from somebody that's been in venues that I've seen it happen, I mean, and we're all guilty of doing it. You're sitting here doing this, having a conversation with somebody or whatnot, but you don't have a choice. You have to be engaged in the show. So I feel that you get a better audience reaction when you do it.
There's no need to be on the phone in a comedy show or a magic show. I don't think.
Right. I mean, you're even seeing musicians do it too. Yeah. Jack White is big on that, that you can't have any phones at a show. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. Ordinarily I'm kind of against restricting people from doing stuff just as my default position, but it does, it seems to make the atmosphere that much better. So it'll be interesting to see 5-10 years down the road where this is all headed.
Yeah, I think Brent is writing stuff in the comments that I'm not bringing out on here. Yes, Louis C.K.'s issue was off the stage. It was not a bit that he did, although he does have some pretty controversial bits. I think they're funny, and I can laugh at things. And Norm Macdonald, who was Brent's number one, has a great bits about cancer. And, it's just, or alcoholics, or, stuff like that. It's not necessarily something that people should laugh at, but his material is funny and it's somewhat true. I guess you'd have to listen to it to decide that. I think if it's your show and you decide you don't want people with phones, that's the price to pay. You want to come see my show, you put your phone away. I don't have a problem with that. They're never going to do it at sporting events. So I think, their entertainment, if that's their IP, right? They want to protect their IP. They want to control, the information and all of that. So I think I don't really have a problem with that. Where did you grow up? I know you said you moved to LA. Where did you grow up? On the East Coast?
Yes, I am from Massachusetts originally. I tell people I'm from Boston, so I don't have to have the conversation about the small town that I'm from that no one's ever heard of. Yeah. I lived in Massachusetts for about the first 30 years of my life, and then for the last 11 or so, I have been in various other locations. I've lived in Virginia twice. So once sort of in rural Virginia, Roanoke, which is the southwest corner, and also in the Washington, D.C. area, just outside it in Alexandria. And then I also lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of in between my two Virginia stops. I've always told people that, working, if you want to work in live entertainment venues, there's a lot of similarities as it is if you're working in live local television, that if you want to be able to like move up and move on and make a better salary, you need to move to bigger markets. So, that's kind of why I've moved around so much, but
Yeah.
now I'm here in LA. I got here just in time to enjoy myself for about a year or so before everything started closing down.
Right. You're a big sports fan?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. How's the transition to having to watch sports 3 hours earlier?
It's tough. Everybody keeps saying like, "Oh, it's so great. You're in California. Like, you get to watch all these games." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, who's around? Like, who's home?" Well, again, under normal circumstances, it's been a little bit different now during COVID when everybody's at home, or
Yeah.
a lot of people are at home. But under normal circumstances, like, who's home at 5 o'clock to turn on the TV? Like, you're still at work. Like, by the time I get home, whatever I wanted to watch is almost over.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something afterward, like if you have a softball game, or you got things that you need to do with your kids, or you got errands to run or things like that, I mean, you could be getting home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock and everything is over. At least from an East Coast or nationally televised standpoint.
Yeah.
Maybe if the Lakers have a game that's not on national TV, that starts at 7:30 Pacific time. But yeah, it's strange. The only advantage maybe is like NFL Sundays, because it is nice having those, like the late Sunday night football game done before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But just as somebody that lived on the East Coast all my life until a few years ago, sporting events ending was kind of that was like the alarm, like, okay, time to go to bed. Now it's like, the game is over and it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do for the next 4 hours?
Yeah, the time difference for me, in a lot of reasons, is one of the big reasons why I didn't move out west. And I was close. I almost went to the University of Arizona, and when I was unemployed, I was looking for jobs in the Phoenix area. I have a good friend in Chandler, but it is interesting. We were out there one time, and I was at a bar with my brother at 9 a.m. watching the Gator game, eating breakfast. It was
Yeah.
But it's nice to be over early, but then it's like, look, there's pros and cons.
Yeah, those early games can be tough, because it's like, I mean, you're a trooper if you were out at 9 a.m. Like, I'm usually just like lying in bed. It's like, all right, I guess I got to tune into the game now. It's not the same, it's hard to really get fired up when you're just like, wearing your pajamas, lying in bed. You can only get so excited with what's happening on TV.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in LA under normal circumstances. How do you choose? Is it hard to choose what you want to go to? Do you feel like you miss out a lot because there's a lot of stuff going on?
Yeah, you do. You can get paralyzed with options. The city is so big, and it's the entertainment capital of the world. Most cities, even somewhat larger cities, have 4 or 5, maybe up to a dozen, live entertainment venues. Like, it feels like LA has like 137, and there's stuff going on all the time. Even if you want to, we were talking about comedy, like comedy clubs here in Hollywood. So you have the big 3 in Hollywood. You have the Improv, you have the Comedy Store, and the Laugh Factory. I mean, there's 7 days a week, 2 to 3 shows a night, 365 days a year. So, I mean, there's always something going on. There's always some comedian you can go see. There's always some band you can go see. I mean, even sports. I mean, there's 2 of everything here. 2 Major League Baseball teams, 2 NFL teams, 2 NHL teams, 2 NBA teams, 2 Major League Soccer teams.
Yeah.
Now the Women's Professional Soccer League has a team here. I'm sure there's other things. There's NASCAR stops here. There's multiple golf PGA events that come here. tennis is out in Palm Springs. So basically anything you could ever like want to do is going to happen here at some point. But the beauty of it is that, you don't have to worry about especially like if you live in a small town, it's like, all right, well, this is kind of the one big thing that's happening this month. So I don't have to plan my life around it. It's like you can still live your life and do whatever it is you need to do. But then those few days that you want to be able to go out or whatever, that you can, because you're going to be able to find something that you want to do. And even if you don't, you can go to the beach, you can go skiing, you can play or do anything you wanted outside pretty much 365 days a year. So, it's not, it can be overwhelming, but just like anything else, I think you get used to it.
Yeah, I always miss events because I'm traveling or I have something other event, and it's very frustrating, but it's good to have those options. I'm very lucky to have been to, all of these shows that I've been to and events that I've been to. What did you miss? What got canceled that you missed that was like maybe you were most looking forward to because of COVID?
Well, just like as this was happening, I was actually going to go to a Bruins Kings hockey game. Like this was back like as it was happening a year ago when stuff started shutting down. I was going to go that following week to Staples Center, and then also that week I was going to go to spring training in Arizona with a few of my softball buddies. Fortunately for that one, we just got back from there. We went last weekend, so was able to do it just a year later. But right. I will say, what a difference though between Arizona and California. I mean, it was like, I often joke that California has been kind of like East Germany during this whole pandemic here with all the shutdowns. And, I thought that it was kind of like, yeah, maybe that's not necessarily the best comparison. There's literally a checkpoint on the 10 freeway between when you're coming back from California back into California from Arizona. I think it's always been there, but it's just funny that it's like, I've never seen a state checkpoint before, like between states, and everybody has to stop. And it was just crazy. I was like, okay, maybe I wasn't that far off on my comparison, but
yeah, Arizona's been playing Little League baseball for a long time. It's even in Florida. My friend just got back from Key West. He's like, they don't believe in masks in Key West, and it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like people weren't wearing masks, but it's just, I mean, I don't know, my position, like, I don't want to get political here, but my position has always been like, after the first few months when everyone kind of shut down, I believe that we should have found a way to sort of like, how can we kind of maintain our way of life and our institutions as much as possible while mitigating the spread of COVID, which is kind of like one school of thought. And then the other one is like, shut everything down as much as possible and try to preserve every, just to preserve or to cut down on the amount of deaths, or like, this is how we're going to beat it and everything like that. And I just think that like states got divided into one of those two things, and it became based on a political ideology with what the politicians in charge needed to do in order to maintain power.
Yeah, I thought they should have shut down everything for a month or 6 weeks, and we would have been fine. Like a lot of these other countries, that's obviously, hopefully it sounds like they might be heading in the right direction with the amount of vaccines that are getting done and some things. I'll be in Nashville this week for the SEC tournament. I don't know what that will look like, but I've been to went to the Gator basketball game, Gator baseball, a couple Gator football games. I didn't feel unsafe, but there definitely are people who don't care about the other people in the environment, and we've moved away. I mean, I could probably remember 2 or 3 different times when I didn't feel comfortable with the amount of people I was around, and I moved away or I left the venue or establishment. So it's it's weird how different places are, even within the same city or state or area, and I just saw that thing on YouTube or Twitter with the Uber girl. Did you see that? Was that out in California?
No, I'm not sure what you're
crazy. This girl
to.
that got like kicked out. They were like fighting with the Uber driver, and they ripped off his mask and they coughed on him. Maybe he did something that was. I think he just was trying to tell him to put the mask on. Anyway, it's a watch. Yeah, I'll send that over to you. Do you have something that you're looking forward to going to when things are open up? Do you have something that you already had planned and you're just waiting for it to happen, or something that you usually do? I know you just got to do the spring training, but what else is on the docket?
I mean, honestly, just the ability, like what I would be looking forward to is the ability to even just play. Like I was in a couple of like adult sports leagues. Like I hate to keep just going on to sports related stuff, but I mean, you know, we haven't been able to play. Like I was in a softball league and a volleyball league, and our seasons were paused just like everything else. We haven't started back up yet. Like even though like youth sports and high school sports can use the parks, like for some reason, you know, adult sports leagues haven't been able to get like permits, or they're not allowed to get permits for fields and stuff. And maybe that's changed in the last week. Like I said, I've been out of town and kind of haven't been paying attention super close to what's been going on here. But it's just, you know, kind of the hypocrisy of that. It's like, all right, well, you know, being outside and exercising is a good way to build your immune system to help fight COVID. But, you know, everybody stay at home in your overcrowded houses and spread it to each other. Yeah. Like it's one of these hypocritical and arbitrary rules that I think people lose faith in, you know, the government's ability to handle that. And then you get crazy people like ripping masks off of Uber drivers and spitting on them just because they're angry, but they don't know who to direct their anger to.
I want to correct you. She coughed on him. She didn't spit on him, but
sorry.
Just as disrespectful. He actually admitted it, even as she was saying she's going to sue Uber. She admits, she's like, I know it was disrespectful, but blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's a great argument. I know what I did was wrong, but here's my excuse for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, we wonder why people are mad and angry. And it's like, well, because it seems like a lot of this isn't rooted in any kind of common sense reality. And it's frustrating people. And I think that it's just after a year, it's kind of getting to the point where like, all right, like we got to go. Like if we start moving backwards again with regards to like things getting more restrictive, buckle up.
Yeah, it's because of spikes. Like Texas makes that thing, and they have big spikes. I do agree that there wasn't a unified front, which I think hurt. On the flip side, there's no ability to do a unified front where everyone's going to agree to it. Someone's going to get upset, and so I think that the previous administration didn't want to upset more people, and now I think they're like, look, you know, I think we can be a little bit more open, right? We can do things smart. The problem is you can't trust people to do the right thing. That's my feeling, and that's true whether it's in a pandemic or not. That's a tough thing. I mean, people are going to these games, they put the mask on and then they take it off. Or I could be eating and drinking all game. All stuff we've talked about a bunch here.
I will say, when I was at the couple of spring training games last weekend, I was at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, which is where the Dodgers spring training was, and I was at Goodyear Ballpark, which is where the Reds are based out of. Both of those stadiums, their staff members were excellent. Like their ushers were definitely enforcing mask policies, but they were enforcing it politely, like in a way that wasn't going to put people on the defensive and lead to situations where people are angry. And not that I saw like massive non-compliance with what the rules are. I mean, everything is basically like you described. Your mask is on at all times, seating pods, you know, you got to sit in your seat. You can't just do what you want, restricted capacity and all that stuff. But, you know, people, you know, you eat and like there was a couple like in front of us, they were eating and whatnot, not really doing anything wrong, but then like 10 minutes went by and like they didn't put a mask on. This was at Camelback where the Dodgers play. And the usher just like politely goes over and is like, excuse me, like we just need you to, put your mask back over your face. And they were like, oh, okay, no problem, da da da. They even had signs, even all the ushers were holding signs like face coverings required at all times and things like that. Everything seemed clean. It was really it was a really good experience in the COVID pandemic reality. So there is a way to do it safely. Obviously you're not going to be making a ton of money by only having 20% or so capacity in your venue, but at least it's something. It gives people some outlet, and I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, we have a I think that the thing for me is it's low risk, but it's high consequence. And so, at most of the things, and I caught COVID in a very low risk. I just, had dinner with one friend at his house and took off my mask, and he happened to be at a meeting with someone who had tested positive. You had Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons taken out of the All-Star game because their barber tested positive for COVID. So, you just never know. And they had said that barber shops were relatively safe, and they should be, but it's not necessarily it's just a bad timing, in the wrong place at the wrong time, stuff like that. I want to talk about a little bit more about comedy. Did you get a chance to see the Coming to America movie last weekend?
I have not. I haven't seen the new one. Obviously, I've seen the original. I tend to be against sequels that come out like 20 years after the original movie or a significant period of time. Like Caddyshack 2 sucks. Anchorman 2 sucks. So like I don't know. Like we'll see. My friends on social media have been saying that it's like, oh my God, this is great. So maybe I'm gonna have to give it give it a watch. But I would be leery of seeing it, but I guess I can be convinced otherwise.
Well, so I enjoyed it. Watched it Friday right when it came out, and I will say, if you're not comparing it to the first one, I think you'll enjoy it. There's some stuff that's very funny, especially if you like the first one. There's some stuff that is corny, but the first one was kind of corny. It's PG-13. So it's not rated R. There were a couple of really well-placed F-bombs in the first one, which really made you laugh. But it's worth it. It's worth a watch. I posted about it on social media and it got ripped. I mean, everyone was saying how terrible it was, but I think you can't compare it to the first one. Now, I actually like Caddyshack 2. I think it's a very funny movie. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I do like Caddyshack 2. Anchorman 2, look, with Will Ferrell, Will Ferrell is going to be Will Ferrell. It's very predictable, but I think all these are worth a watch. Especially now you put Netflix on. I think it's worth a watch. But I do agree in general, sequels are generally not as good, and then a lot of times they do too many of them. So Fast and the Furious 27 or whatever they're on now. I guess the people who really like it, and that's why they keep putting them out.
I think those are a little bit different because that's kind of like a series, and then like sequels aren't necessarily bad. Like when they come out kind of in line. I'm just saying like when there tends to be a long gap between the two where it's clearly a money grab. Like, oh well, people liked this movie, so let's just kind of try to get as many actors from the previous one we can and sort of assemble a cast and go from there. I don't want to support the Hollywood machine of making unnecessary sequels by giving them viewership numbers.
Yeah, I get it. It's definitely, I think it's worth a watch. I've been watching a lot of movies. I'm always a movie guy. I would go to the theaters and watch, a couple movies on a Friday that just came out. And now we're just finding stuff watching a lot on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Movie. So I'm looking forward to going to the movie theater, which I think is safe because I can go in the middle of the day. There's probably 3 people in the whole theater if they're open.
Yeah. Are they open in Florida?
I feel like they are. We went to one in September, and they might have closed again. I'm a Regal guy, so I generally only check there. They have like the fancier theaters, like the iPic and all that, like $40 to watch a movie with popcorn. I don't mind being comfortable, but I actually got some theater seats that I'm going to be putting in my entertainment room. But I don't want to fall.
There you
asleep.
go.
I don't want to fall asleep to do that.
It is tough, especially when you're reclining back, and if you're going to like a late movie.
Yeah. So I know we joined the happy hour. We do. I know I've seen you on some intakes calls. What have you been spending your time mostly doing during the pandemic?
Well, a lot of it at first, like I was probably working more just because of everything going on. It just created there was just this whole other circumstance happening. So the first 2 months was like crazy busy. Then, as things started to, started to slide back, but, was still consistently, working through the summer there. Then as we got into the fall, definitely got that's when like furloughs started, and like I said, it affected me. So I was not working for my full-time position. I've done some other just contacts that I've had in the industry. I've just been picking up some other gig work, either doing drive-in shows. I've done a few boxing matches here in LA. Just kind of either doing, for the drive-in shows, was doing just like basic event services, ushers, managing ushers, ticket scanners, things like that, sort of overseeing the virtual box office on the day of the events. For events where there's no fans, you're kind of just doing stuff back of house, credentialing, things like that. I've been working a lot of jobs that are just not, kind of with some of the firms that I contract with. They just have nothing to do with sports or entertainment. Been working a lot of merchandising projects for convenience stores. When you walk into a store, it's not like an accident of like where things are located. So stuff like that, just to keep busy. I did a little bit of traveling. Like it's really hard to do during a pandemic here, but I did go home to Massachusetts for a few weeks to be with some family. Did the trip last week to Phoenix. I did a quick little trip to Vegas. Not really to party, but just I know a lot of people out there, so just kind of touch base with them. Also just again, kind of a professional curiosity. This was right as Vegas was sort of opening back up with regards to entertainment. This was like in early November. They started opening up some entertainment venues, but I was like, Vegas is really, the casinos obviously are heavily regulated and they are heavily enforcing their COVID restrictions. Like I felt safer in a casino than I feel like at a grocery store.
Yeah.
So like I feel like they're doing, so the two examples I have, I guess, in states where, are wide open compared to places like California and New York, being Arizona and Nevada. But I feel like, there was like, I didn't really feel unsafe at any time. I haven't been to Texas or Florida. Those are kind of the other two states that seem to get dinged a lot in the media for being a little too lenient. But, from what I've seen, it's been okay, at least like when you're going into the, public assembly facilities.
Yeah. It's, well, here in Florida is, that's probably another political conversation, but I don't feel safe to go to, in general, to go out to a lot, but certainly there could be one-off events that I felt okay with. There's just a lot of people who have a problem with wearing a mask, and I don't really understand it. Maybe you don't have someone close to you who's gotten it and been hurt or died or whatever, or maybe you just don't care about anyone else besides yourself. There are ways to do it, and so I see things getting a little bit better hopefully, if people are smarter about it, and the smarter and the more people follow what they're supposed to do, I think the quicker we'll get back to these larger scale events, which is really what, I think what a lot of us are missing. And I didn't mind sitting at a socially distanced game. I actually enjoyed it to have the room and not have to be tight, but there is something about, being tight for, a big game and getting the excitement there. And also being at a music festival where you're, right on top at the front of the stage and everyone's rushing to go back. I could sit on a lawn or in the back on a beach and listen to a concert and not have anyone around me and not care. But there are certain events that you want to have that crowd and be right in the crowd. Some people never want it, and they'll be happy to have these events with no one around.
One of these things that would be interesting is, are people that are going to events now where there's, nowhere, is anywhere over really 25 or maybe a third % capacity? Like, I haven't seen anything where there's been like a huge crowd of people like packed together. I wonder, as stuff starts getting closer to that 50%, 60%, if you're going to see people not want to go because they felt safer with a smaller crowd. But now as the crowds are getting bigger, but we're not like totally past COVID, I wonder if people are going to stay home because of that. Because, just because a venue is allowing 50%, that doesn't mean that 50% of the capacity that they're going to sell that, or that those people are going to show up.
No, there are places that can't even sell out their reduced capacity because of, the environment. My opinion is that there's no real difference between, 20% and 50%, because if you're looking at it in a game wise, I'm never interacting with the people on that side anyway. So it's just a matter of putting some more people here. And again, there's ways around. So I wouldn't feel unsafe. I wouldn't go to 100% tomorrow. And that's mostly because I don't trust other people, not because in general I think it's bad. I just don't want to have to worry about having that many people there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think everyone's got their sights set on the end of May for maybe when vaccines are widely available, and then August is what we're hearing, end of August, for when they think some of these events might come back. It wouldn't shock me if it did. It wouldn't shock me if it didn't. I think nobody knows right now, and they're all just guessing, which also causes a lot of problems with people just guessing and speculating and rumors, and everyone wants to be the first to report something. That's obviously probably a big thing you have in LA, is everyone's got to be first, right? If you're not first, you're last, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to travel? You mentioned that travel's touched you. Do you have a favorite place that you've traveled in the world, and a bucket list that you'd like to travel?
Like I've never really been a big traveler. I think the problem is because I've always had a job that basically comes first and is sort of, it kind of, you have to plan your life around that. A part of that is what brought me to California. It was to like get out of a venue and just, not saying that I don't want to work hard or anything like that, but I mean, my work-life balance was out of whack. So like, I really haven't had the opportunity, especially in the last like 10 years, to really like when I travel, it usually it's work related, because I'm going to like a conference or something like that. So yeah, and then now with COVID, like one of the things that I was casually looking to do last year, this was before COVID started, but for my birthday, which is in September, I had started looking to go to Hawaii. Now it never got more, it never got past like, hey, that would be something interesting to do, because this is like 6 months before, COVID hit, and then my birthday wasn't for 6 months. But so this was maybe like February when I was starting to look around. I'm like, yeah, that would be a cool thing to do for my birthday. I've never done like a big like birthday travel type of thing, because my birthday's in the middle of September, which was always the start of when I was younger, it was the start of school or the start of college. And then when I was working for a hockey team, it's like, all right, this is the start of training camp. And then when, working in venues and stuff, like that's the start of the fall touring season. So it's never a good time to like do something for my birthday. So, and then I was kind of hoping to get that in this year, but alas, that didn't happen as well. So, maybe we can get that back on the books for this September or maybe September 2022.
I think a small trip, you're on the beach, you're outdoor restaurants. I think you could swing that. I would think so. Do you have a favorite movie? I know we talked about a little bit with Coming to America. Do you have any favorite movies? Is comedy your thing? I know you're around comedy a lot. Some people don't like comedy movies. Some people love them. There's not as many good ones out. It's all a lot of the same sort of idea. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, like favorite movie. That's one of those tough things because there's so many different categories. I know I kind of mentioned
favorite comedies.
In terms of a comedy movie, like Caddyshack is right up there for me. I mean, I think that's just a classic kind and just with that cast and like everybody was perfect for the character that they were playing. Yeah. And excuse me, it still kind of stands the test of time. I mean, the movie's 40 years old and it's still just unbelievable. You can put it on. It's one of those movies, like if it comes on, it's like you have to finish it, or at least back in the days when you were channel surfing. Now I don't even know. Like, do people still watch TV live?
A little bit. Sometimes you're waiting for something to come on. You're like, oh, let's see what's on here.
But yeah, that's just one of those movies where you're just like, oh, like I got to, I got to watch this. In terms of something else, like maybe like a drama or an action movie. Maybe something like Pulp Fiction is like another one. It's like wherever that comes on, it's like I would just be like, all right, like even if we still got 2 hours to go, like gotta, it's starting at like the Gold Watch or something like that, and you still got most of the movie to go, but you kind of go there and you gotta finish it. Yeah,
Pulp Fiction was my brother's favorite movie when it came out, and I hadn't seen it for a long time. I liked it. I'm not a big Tarantino fan. But
he's polarizing. You either like him or you don't. Like, there's no like in between.
But now I like what he does in Glorious Bastards and what was the one with Jamie Foxx?
Django Unchained.
Django Unchained, and there was another.
I like this new one, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was a great. It was a different twist on a Tarantino movie, but that was I really enjoyed that one. And being in LA, I went to see it at like so he owns a movie theater called the New Beverly Cinema in Hollywood. And it was actually referenced in the movie. So like you're sitting in that movie theater that's owned by the director. And then like you see that movie theater, like in the movie that you're watching. It was like something that could only happen in Hollywood.
I'll have to see it. I heard it was good. If you could pick any act, I guess, to work for on their tour, have you ever thought about that? Like, who would you pick? It could be a show, it could be a singer, it could be a band, it could be anything really.
Any act to work for,
or you tour with them?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. God, I don't know. I've never thought. That's a really good question. Yeah, geez, I don't. Because like there's two schools of thought. Like I bet if you were like a manager touring with a comedian, like that might not be like, even though like it's funny, like I don't know how much like fun, because you're just with like one other person. Yeah. Like I'm trying to think of like a huge like I don't even know if it would be somebody like in today's day and age. Like, can you imagine touring with like Fleetwood Mac in like 1978? Yeah. Like that would just be insane. Like that's my answer. Like, can I build a time machine? Does your ticket time machine go back in time? Can I go back to the 70s and tour with some of those bands?
We love time machines. Time machines. If you can go back to an age, what age would that be?
An age like my age, or an age like the Bronze Age?
No, age like your age. Like I could be 15 again, and I could kind of know what I know.
Oh, gotcha. I would say I would want to go back to like post college, early to mid 20s, but knowing what I know now.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
definitely.
I'm earlier than that. I'm like high school, beginning of high school, just to be able to have a different, or kind of be who you are now. Not necessarily knowing, like, obviously you're not going to know everything, but just more being like, because you change as you get older, and
Yeah.
it would be a different experience. We're going to let you go on this last one here. We ask everyone, you pick one person, has to be living. You can't be related to them. You get 24 hours to hang out with them. Who is it, and what are you guys going to do? I ask that because I'm going to make it happen for someone, and so let us know.
Oh God, wait. So, okay, so I have to pick somebody living that I would want to hang out with, and I can't be related. I can't be related to them.
Yeah, hang out and they got to be living. One day, you get to hang out with them for a day, 24 hours. We've had Tiger, Barack. Trying to think who else we got. Brent, if he's still listening, he wants to go fishing with George W.
Huh. That's interesting. God, I don't know. Yeah, it's too much. This is terrible. I can't answer the question.
I gotta put him on the list, so I gotta start working on it. Just pick anyone. Could be an actor, comedian, sports person, public figure.
God, I don't know. You know what? Let's just go crazy. I want to hang out with Donald Trump so I can just ask him, be like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, we've had someone say Trump. Would love to see about his craziness. So we'll put them on the list for you. It'll make it easier when we can just have like
I hope it's not literally a list
with all these people. No, I'm gonna make it happen. That's my goal, to make it happen for someone. I don't know if it's gonna be Trump. It might be Obama. It could be Tiger Woods. I will make it happen for someone, one of our guests on the Wolff Den, and. Yeah. Anyway, appreciate you being here. Always.
Yeah. Thank you for having me
on the happy hour. So we have a sports biz happy hour, but anyone can join. We Zoom on Fridays around 5 p.m. Eastern and just kind of talk a little bit about everything, whatever good happens, whatever bad happens.
Yeah.
And
even if you're not necessarily like, super in or like currently working in the sports business or whatever, like, come on by. Check it out. It's on, Matt, I know you promote it a lot on your LinkedIn and channel.
Dave and Ken
page, but come on by.
Ken Troop is our guest tomorrow on the Wolff Den. He's the one who started this happy hour, so we'll probably talk about it then. If anyone's listening or sees this, join the event tonight. Win Again Academy in the club room with Theo Fleury and Eric Cussin, a great mental health conversation. Great networking opportunity. There's always great people in the sports world who are attending these events. You can get more information on my Twitter or LinkedIn feed. And until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Wolff Den. Garrett, have a great day. Everyone, be safe, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Matt.